Dinosaurs as Demons is finally back, and so am I. After a very lovely first week off in a very long time, I'm feeling fully re-energized. I made an adorable little new friend. I did a lot of rock climbing and reading, and felt like a good first video back would be Dinosaur Demons Part 3. So let's go! Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show. Fear plays a role in all of our lives, though in the modern day, the ones that many of us are faced with are far from life-threatening. Whether that be fearing what others think of us, fear of failure, fear of the future. Strangely enough, facing something truly horrifying, facing a survival situation with very little chance of escape, can actually be a positive, as it can put into perspective how trivial many of our common fears really are. This sort of awakening happened recently to a young woman named Ella Friglos. She'd been an aggressively overworked production assistant and part-time waitress who'd finally been convinced to take some time off by her concerned friends and family. Yearning to keep busy so as not to think about the work she may be missing out on, she set off to Chile to do the Soriaklis hike. It was an absolutely gorgeous trail and could have been an incredible trip, if she'd truly been able to appreciate it. For the first few days, her head was consistently swirling about whether her career was moving fast enough and the extra hours she'd have to pick up when she returned. But soon enough, she'd have something far more horrifying to concern herself with. On her third day, Ella started to hear loud, rumbling footsteps approaching her from behind, and yet every time she turned, there was nothing to be seen. She kept hiking, and the thundering steps would get louder and louder, till she could feel them quaking the ground, then whip around again, and still see nothing. She thought she may be going insane, until she turned to her trail once more and saw right before her an 8-meter-long black and crimson beast, one of the many demons of Soriaklis. The demon general Soriaklis has creatures stationed all around the world, instilling fear in all they cross, but none have an ability quite like the fiend Ella faced. Carnotasis. Carnotasis has 8 yellow eyes, the 2 largest of which are in the palms of the hands on its tiny arms. The limbs are so small they seem as though they'd serve no purpose, and yet they are an essential part of this creature's arsenal. It can swirl the arms in a circle, and as Ella quickly found, when you stare into the eyes as they swirl, you quickly become transfixed. Ella was quickly hypnotized by the beast she faced. Her body no longer followed her commands, save for her eyes, which were still willingly producing tears, as this creature forced her to climb the spikes along its legs up onto its back, so it could march her off to its cavern, and to her death. Through the whole march, the creature had its head eerily twisted around and leering at her, with its sideways opening mouth twitching and breathing nauseous fumes into her nostrils. This went on for an hour. They even passed other hikers, yet none seemed able to see Ella or the beast she rode, and she couldn't call out to them as her body was under this fiend's control. Her terror was growing and growing, horrified that at any moment the creature may chomp down on her. Until an intrusive thought so ridiculous shot through her mind that even she couldn't overlook how nonsensical it was. The thought said, if I lose a limb to this thing, how will I go back to work? She was facing a monstrosity she wouldn't have believed real that very morning, was likely to die as its meal, and her mind was still trying to convince her to worry about work. That realization, paired with the madness of the situation, was enough to make her start laughing. The creature stopped at the sound and roared horrifically into her face. That just made her laugh even harder. The beast twirled its hands back towards her and spun them again, but the hypnosis wasn't taking effect. Ella soon found that she could move her limbs once more consciously. The creature roared and shrieked at her, but she was soon able to clamber back off it to the ground. It did all it could to once more strike her full of fear, but it wasn't attacking her, and she soon realized that. Eventually, she was just able to walk away. She looked back only once, and when she did, the beast was gone. She continued her trip as normal now, though genuinely appreciating the beauty around her, and eventually she went back to work and her life upon her venture's end, but did so with a new outlook. She still had fears and anxieties about work and life in general, but from that fateful day on, they all seemed much less daunting. She'd faced true terror, and now, little else could compare. Now, not all demons of Soriaklis are so easily escaped as Carnotasis. One has even been made with the express purpose of scaring those who have already faced traumatic and genuinely life-threatening situations. The cruel and vile Soriaklis made this demon, Tenkilos, as a trial for itself to see if it could scare the most hardened military veterans. The demon is essentially a living lightning-spewing tank. Its body is diamond hard, and it has 3 maws, from each of which it can fire explosive blasts as well as devour its prey. Its attempts to instill fear usually begin with a bang, as it will seek out rural farms owned by veterans and bombard the area all around where they slumber in a barrage of destruction. Because of its near impenetrable hide, it will essentially encourage them to pull forth whatever weaponry they may have available and fire freely upon it. It will take the fire and continue lurching towards them, shooting all around them, obliterating the terrain and their home in a show of its might. Only when it gets them to a place of feeling totally helpless will it consider consuming its meal. Though, I'd personally not bet on this demon having many more meals left. 2 months ago, it tried its might against a retired Navy SEAL, thinking it could inflict terror upon him, not realizing how much one must go through to become a SEAL in the first place. The man not only escaped the demon, but has gathered a group of his most hardened allies from his military days to go after Tenkilos and end its hunting days by any means necessary. Now, the lore for the first drawing was a little bit too long to add any design notes, but that first design also kind of spoke for itself enough. The rest of the drawings will all have design notes, and for this one, I was just really excited by the idea of making an Ankylosaurus tank. Like, that concept just felt really fun to me, and I like how I executed this one. I was taking a little bit of inspiration from my elemental ice demon from the Elemental Demons episode. You can probably see that with the big stony forearms, only, I went with a stonier sort of texture and not an icy texture. I also thought this mouth being kind of canon-like, its main mouth, would be a kind of fun and different sort of look for one of my demons. This is one of those ones where I think it might have turned out a little bit too cute because I made its eyes a little bit too big, but, that kind of happens once per demon episode. I'll do one that I look at and I go, a little bit cute. And for the lore of this one, I was actually taking a little bit of inspiration from a book I read recently called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, who is a retired Navy SEAL. If you listen to any motivational speeches, which I do very frequently while I'm working, you've probably heard him talk before, maybe without even knowing it. But he's a super interesting guy who's been through a lot, and reading that really made me appreciate how much insane stuff Navy SEALs have to go through to become SEALs. Really interesting book. Glad I could take a little bit of inspiration for it from this story. And yeah, I like how this drawing turned out, and I hope you all like it too. The next demon of Soriaklis is one that may have actually had an interesting effect on a small element of pop culture. The demon, called Dilfizier, is a black and purple fiend with a maw at the end of its tail, as well as 4 additional jaw-like folds that can flip up from its neck around its head, for an extra surge of terror as it shrieks at its foes. The demon also has the unique ability to spit venom at its victims, and this will often be the first thing it does when it reveals itself to prey. It gives them one fleeting glimpse before it temporarily blinds them, leaving them to stumble around in the dark with that horrifying image replaying in their mind, listening to the creature scamper around them, snarling to ensure they know that it's still present and ready to strike. The venom will also fog their mind and make it so their confusion is further heightened, even as their vision slowly returns. Often, Dilfizier will spit into their eyes again and again, keeping the terror going as long as it can, marinating its foe more and more in fear of what is to come. When it finally devours its prey, it will do so using both its maws simultaneously. every fear-filled bite sending dark energy directly to the demon's master. Now, this demon has existed for quite some time and was one of the first Soriaklis made, which has inspired rumors in the Predator Coalition of Demon Hunters that this creature actually had an influence on how the dinosaur this demon resembles, the Dilophosaurus, is portrayed in popular culture. You see, the author of Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton, fictitiously portrayed these creatures as having the ability to spit venom, which was not actually true for these prehistoric creatures. They also didn't have the frilled necks implied by the famous movie adaptation of his book. Hence the rumors that Crichton may have had a run-in with Dilfizier and simply kept it under wraps, assuming no one would believe him, perhaps even thinking it to have been a dream himself, or simply having repressed the memory to bury the trauma of the event. This could explain where he got the ideas that many now falsely associate with the Dilophosaurus. It's entirely possible that it's a coincidence, but I certainly wouldn't rule out the idea of the author being a survivor of a horrific demon attack. Now, I made sure to do a little bit of research for this one because I knew the frilled neck thing and venom spitting weren't actually a thing the Dilophosaurus could do, but I wasn't sure if that had been made up for the book Jurassic Park or the movie Jurassic Park, and it turns out it was one of each. The venom spitting thing was made up by Michael Crichton for the book, and the frilled neck was made up for the movie. Wanted to make sure to do a bit of research for this part because in both previous Dinosaur Demons episodes, I've messed some things up. I called the Giganotosaurus a Gigantosaurus in the first episode, and in the second episode, 2 of the dinosaurs I used weren't actually dinosaurs. Mosasaur and Pterosaur, not actually dinosaurs. So I wanted to make sure I got that right for this guy, and design-wise, I love how this turned out. Took some inspiration from my Dungeons & Dragons Stranger Things episode, hence, the mouth thing opening up around it, because I really liked how that looked when I did it in that episode, and I just think this one turned out really cool. I hope you all like it as well. Let's take a look. Now, after hearing much about the demons made by Soriaklis, you may have wondered about the demon general itself, the one responsible for these beasts. Soriaklis' form is difficult to describe as it can drastically change in a matter of moments. You see, Soriaklis has a body that can shift forms into various dinosaurs or parts of prehistoric creatures. One moment it could resemble a Tyrannosaurus, the next a Triceratops, or even make the head of a dinosaur spawning from its arms or legs or tail. The demon is largely green and black with crimson eyes, often having 4 on its head looking off in different directions. Soriaklis used to be one of the lesser demons of fear. Craving those with a fear of dinosaurs gave it far fewer meal options than, say, Nyctos, who seeks those who fear the dark, or Claustraniac, who hunts those with a fear of tight spaces. But, unfortunately for us all, this lack of options eventually led Soriaklis to an idea that some other demon generals have gone on to do since. Instead of hunting down those who already feared dinosaurs, it created the small army we've been discussing to instill this fear in many. Beyond that, when the demon minions consume their prey, part of that dark energy absorbed will go directly to Soriaklis, wherever it may be at the time. This means Soriaklis can simply rest wherever it chooses while still being frequently fed. Soriaklis has been a priority to kill for the Predator Coalition of Demon Hunters, but since it can be hiding anywhere, this demon general has remained out of reach. Unfortunately, we know that killing a demon general will not automatically kill all their minions, but in the least, it will prevent Soriaklis from creating any more of its monstrosities. Now, I did want to do one more technically non-dinosaur design for this episode, a plesiosaur as a demon, but I think I'd mentioned to a few people that if I did do a third episode of Dinosaur Demons, I would actually draw Soriaklis, since I've mentioned him in all 3 episodes so far. And I knew I wanted to incorporate a bunch of different dinosaur designs into this one, so eventually I just thought, yeah, why not have a demon that can shift form into a bunch of different dinosaurs? Also, I really like the idea of doing a Beast Wars style dinosaur hand, but on a non-Transformers kind of character, and I really like how that turned out. My favorite part of the drawing is the T-Rex sort of head. I really like how the saliva is kind of spewing off it like it's roaring, and how it's The arm has some shifting bits like it's mid-transformation. I also really like the pose of this one. It's something that I think I've done it like 3 times lately, maybe it's just been 2, but ever since I did the Monster Hunter Folklore episode, where I had that mer creature kinda sitting up on its tail with its arms hunched over a bit, I really like that idea of a creature just sitting up on a tail. I like it here, but I think it was more effective in the Monster Hunter episode. But still, overall, quite happy with this drawing, and I hope you all like finally getting to see Soriaklis. Here it is. Quick little ask for anyone that's willing to vote for me on something. I've put in a pitch for next year at South by Southwest 2023 to go and give a talk on how artists can build an engaged audience. And part of the way they pick who gets to come and give their talks or workshops or whatever is through community voting. You can see the video pitch that I made for South by Southwest by clicking the link in the description. You do have to make an account to vote for someone, so I know that can be a little bit of a pain, but anyone that's willing to, I would be massively appreciative. And I'm actually giving a version of this same talk at Fan Expo Canada this year on August 27th at 2 p.m. in room 717. So if you're in Toronto and going to Fan Expo, I might see you in a few weeks. Anyway, hugely appreciate anyone that's willing to give me a vote on that, and I hope you enjoyed episode 3 of Dinosaurs as Demons. And now the Dinosaurs Demons series is almost as long as the Phobias as Demons series. Maybe this could get a 4th episode. I don't know, I'm definitely open to it. There's more dinosaurs I could use, and, you know, give me suggestions for what other ones you'd like to see. Or if you're new to the channel and you enjoy stuff like this, you might want to check out my Phobias as Demons series, or the Elements as Demons episode, or maybe my Pokemon SCPs series, which I've recently just put out in one big compilation, so you can see it all in one convenient video. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note, and the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote that I really like from the motivational speaker Eric Thomas. And on the surface, it kind of seems like it would just apply to athletes, but as a metaphor, I think it applies to lots more people, and that's that you should stop watching the scoreboard. You can't control how well your opponent is doing, and you can't always control the outcomes that you're getting, but what you can control is the effort and the work that you are putting in. So focus on you and not on the score. I hope that's inspiring to someone out there. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Wednesday, because this week there's a bonus episode. I'll see you there. Goodbye.